On this episode of Game Shack, I show you how to build a riser for your AtGames Legends Ultimate Cab. Coming up next. Hey everybody, it's JDV here for EvilGeniusEntertainment.com. Thank you for stopping by the Game Shack, or as I call it, the Haunted Arcade. Alright, on this episode I'm going to do a very quick kind of tutorial on how to build your very own riser for your AtGames Legends Ultimate Cab. Now the ALU is of course actually the biggest machine in this market segment at 66 inches tall and 29.5 inches wide. It's one of the reasons I love this cab so much and think it has so much value for money. But I'm a taller guy, I'm almost 6'2", and I have a couple of buddies who are actually taller than me. And so I wanted to raise the deck up just a little bit for when we're playing the two-fighter, fighting games like Street Fighter and the side-scrolling, beat-em-up type games. Also, because I use my ALU as my shooting platform using my Wii, playing games like House of the Dead and Ghost Squad, things like that. And for that, it definitely benefits to have the screen be up a little taller. So there's always going to be kind of a fine point of how tall is too tall, because yes, I want to be able to use it, but I also want my kids and wife and shorter people to be able to use the machine as well. So I kind of settled on about 3.5 inches taller. Now the riser itself is actually 7 inches tall, and that's just to give it a whole lot of support on the sides. It's really kind of grossly overbuilt. I mean, in one way you could just use 4 soup cans to get this thing taller if you wanted to. I did not use very expensive wood. The front of it was just the top of an IKEA table, and the sides are just some scrap wood I have, and the back piece is actually a piece of wood I found outside in my garden. So it's not the greatest build of all time or anything like that, but it's amazing how nice something will look if you slap some really good paint on it. And the paint is actually the most expensive thing on here. I think I paid $14. I got a can of it on sale at Ace. Everything else is literally just scrap woods and drywall screws. So really what all of that you're going to need for this build is the wood, and you're going to need to measure out exactly where you're going to want to put your grooves. I'll have the dimensions of what I did down below in the description. And really all that you'll need is a jigsaw, and then you just kind of cut out the notches. You'll need to cut out 4 notches in the front board and the back board. And then you kind of make sure that they slip them on, make sure that they fit the machine, screw all 4 pieces together, and whammo blammo, you're done. Make sure everything fits nicely before you actually apply your paint, because you are going to probably need to make some adjustments here and there. But once you feel pretty confident that the riser is going to work for your ALU, then go ahead and paint it. And I just use semi-gloss black paint or black gray paint, whatever they gave me. The color didn't really matter that much. I don't think most people even notice that there is a riser on the game. They tend not to look at the very foot of the machine. They tend to look at the screen and the buttons and everything like that. So it is a very easy build. Now, how has it been in use? Well, in use, it's actually quite good. So let me try to give you guys a little sense of the scale of what 3.5 inches does. Again, I'm about 6'2". And here you can see my arms rest pretty comfortably on this. For me, this is comfortable. So that was one of the key things that I wanted to be sure that I did, is though, because I'm the primary person playing this game, is could I be comfortable, happy playing this game? Now, one of my friends who's maybe 5'7", 5'8", played a side-scrolling game with me about a week ago on this at the same height and had no problems playing it. So to me, that's a good thing. For the kids who might be a little too short, a stool, right? No problem. So it's not so tall or so crazy tall that you couldn't use a stool. You can kind of see the comparison sitting next to an A1-up machine on a riser, how it's maybe, maybe an inch difference here. Let's see. Maybe an 1.5 inches. So it's really not that much taller than an arcade 1-up game on a riser. The other thing, of course, is this, because it's 3.5 inches taller, if you're playing something like the Wii for shooting games like House of the Dead, this is a much better height. It just works better with the sensor bar because you're not you're not having to make so many compromises. So that's not too bad. We played this the other week and it works just fine. Now it's true if you are a much taller person, say 6'3" and taller, this is probably going to be a little too low for you, both in terms of the control deck and for trying to use it as a shooting platform. But at least for people 6'2" and under, I think it's a pretty good compromise having it only be 3.5 inches taller. So I guess that's it. It's a pretty easy build. I would say 2 words of warning. When you have your riser complete, you want to try to have another extra set of hands helping you place it in there. It is a bear to try to put this thing in there by yourself. I did it, but I shouldn't have. I should have gotten one of my friends to help me put it in there. It's just too large and cumbersome of a machine just to be throwing around, you know, unless you're a giant or something like that. So you'll be paying something like $100 if you buy this off of Etsy or Amazon. I think they charge $50 for the riser and then another $50 for shipping and handling. Go figure that out. I put all of whatever the cost of the paint is, and I only used maybe 1/8 of the can of that paint. So, you know, all told, I have $14 into this. It does give you pretty good lateral support, and it makes it, at least it's no more difficult to topple over than it was before. You probably do want to secure it to the wall so little kids don't knock it down. And when you place the game into the riser, you probably want to have an extra set of hands because the game is quite large and heavy. All right, well, if you like this sort of content, please give me a thumbs up. If there's anything that you want to suggest in terms of other builds or this particular build, please go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Love each other, and until next time, I'll see you guys in the Game Shack. Mwah! My first design was 2 feet taller, and it turns out, nah, that's just too tall.
Be sure to visit evilgeniusentertainment.com for exclusive content, swag, casting call news, and much, much more.